Ok. Bem, pessoal, sejam bem-vindos. Boa noite. Estamos aí já começando mais uma nova entrevista aqui no nosso canalzinho. Quero pedir para vocês aí que compartilhem o link agora e chamem os próximos amigos aí nos grupos aí para nós aumentarmos a audiência e prestigiar o nosso convidado de hoje. O nosso convidado de hoje é Marc Levenson, o Melev. Bem, pessoal, sejam bem-vindos. Boa noite. O nosso convidado é o Marc Levenson, do MelevsReef. Ele já está no hobby já desde 98, ele tem uma loja virtual, que é muito famosa, e ele também é um dos grandes palestrantes aí do Máquina. Ele participou em 2016, 2017 e 2018, trazendo temas bem relevantes que vão dar planejamento, a montagem de sistemas. Então, vamos prestigiar esse novo convidado aí nessa nova série. Se você ainda não é inscrito no canal, por favor, se inscrevam e vamos curtir essa próxima. Hey guys, so first of all, I'd like to thank you for your time, and today we have a really special guest, Mr. Marc Levenson, MelevsReef. He has been an aquarist since '98, and he's well known, especially for his Máquina lectures from 2016, 17, and 18. I myself have been a follower and a subscriber to him for a long time, maybe seven years, I believe, and have so many of his videos. So, well, Marc, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you very much for inviting me.
It's quite a pleasure, and Marc have this wonderful tank. I believe that's a photo
That's my
from
reef.
your tank, right?
Yeah, that's a photograph because that's the only way it'll look good in the background.
Essa foto, pessoal, que está atrás dele, realmente é do aquário dele, tá? Ele está no trabalho agora. E essa foto é dele mesmo. Então, ele tirou uma foto e está exibindo ali para gente ver como é o aquário dele. Essa entrevista ela vai ser conduzida em português e em inglês. Eu vou estar falando para vocês as perguntas, traduzindo as respostas dele, e ele vai estar respondendo para nós. Nós vamos mudar um pouquinho a didática do que foi com o Mark Callahan, no Mr. Saltwater Tank, na quarta-feira passada. Nós vamos trazer questões pessoais, mas também nós vamos trazer questões específicas do ponto de interesse, do ponto de especialidade do convidado. So this interview is going to be a little bit different from the last one with Mark Callahan. This one we are going to be bringing more personal questions regarding yourself. We would like you to introduce the things that you have done, the journey that you have to here, when you decided to make your hobby your profession. And after that, I'm going to be asking a few questions on your specialty fields. I'm going to be asking things which I consider important by seeing your channel. Marc, bem, Marc, como é que tu começou no hobby? Como foram os teus primeiros tanques? So, Marc, how have you started this hobby? How you fell in love with it? And how it was your first tanks? And when you started growing corals and later on acroporas?
Okay. My very first tank, I was 11 years old, and it was a 20-gallon long, and I filled it with invertebrates.
Meu primeiro tanque foi quando eu tinha 11 anos e eu enchi ele com invertebrados. Esses invertebrados eram corais ou crustáceos? Those were corals or crustaceous?
All shrimp and crabs.
Todos camarões e caranguejos.
Yeah, because there was no limit to how many you could put in an aquarium.
Já que não tinha limite do quanto tu poderia colocar no aquário. And no lights, no fishes, and how you decided to go on that? Who gave you this idea?
Well, my father had a saltwater aquarium. He had two. One was a small hex tank that had anemone, clownfish, octopus, long-nosed butterfly.
So he already knew how to teach you how to take care of it.
And then his other tank was predators, lionfish, grouper, panther, something else. And when we went to the store, they said you can only have this many fish in an aquarium. And I didn't like being limited. So that's why I wanted invertebrates, because there was no limit.
Então, o pai dele já tinha um aquário com um palhacinho, com anêmonas, e um outro tanque ele tinha com predadores, com peixes-leões, amoreias. E quando ele chegou na loja com o pai dele, o lojista disse, tu tens um limite de animais, mas ele disse que não queria ter limites. Então, por isso que ele optou por um tanque com invertebrados. So I believe that it was a total carnificine, right?
Yeah, it was hermit crabs, coral banded shrimp, cleaner shrimp, peppermint shrimp, crabs, any kind of a crab I could get my hands on. It was great.
So it was total UFC the whole time, I believe.
I guess so, yeah. But one day, everything died, all in the same day, overnight. And I was 11. I went to school, knowing everything was dead. And when I came home, the entire aquarium was gone. My father made it all go away. And that was that.
Então, com certeza devia ser uma carnificina total. Imagina, ele tinha vários tipos de camarão e também caranguejos. E esse aquário acabou terminando com todo mundo morto. Quando ele voltou para casa, já não tinha mais nada, que o pai dele tinha limpado o tanque. And then what happened? Why have your father let you do that?
Well, I don't know what killed the tank. It could have been copper, because invertebrates and copper, we were using tap water. But I don't know what happened. But later that year, we flew to Tahiti. And I went to the island of Moorea. And I spent every single day snorkeling in the lagoon and seeing all the corals and all the fish. And I just lived in that water. And that's where my passion really happened, because I saw it in the real ocean.
E a paixão dele começou quando, naquele mesmo ano mais tarde, eles viajaram para o Tahiti e ele passou as férias inteiras aí mergulhando, fazendo snorkel e vendo os corais. Ali se tornou uma paixão. Mark, you mentioned to me that your father used to keep the corals, the anemones, but which type of lighting he used to do that? Because when it was in the 80s?
Yeah, it was. And I'm sure it was some kind of a power compact. We didn't have metal halides over the tank. I don't remember anything like that. So it must have been some kind of fluorescent bulb. And my dad didn't keep corals alive. He would bring them home from Tahiti in a suitcase, and then he would boil them. He'd put them in the sun. He would turn them white, and then he'd put them in the aquarium. And when they got ugly, he boiled them again, and he put them in the sun, and he turned them white, and they put them back in the aquarium.
Jesus. O pai dele, ele viajava para o Tahiti e ele trazia os corais. Só que os corais não eram vivos, eles chegavam na mochila dele e o pai dele fervia os corais para matar eles e deixar eles branquinhos, colocava no aquário. E quando eles ficavam sujos não, ele fazia a mesma coisa. Ele tirava, botava no sol, fervia e colocava lá dentro. So there was no... So I misinterpreted. I believe that you said to me that it was anemones, but there was just white corals, white dead coral skeletons, right?
Right, that's correct. And my father kept those skeletons as decoration after the tanks were gone. And when I went to visit him in his home years later, in the bathroom, there was a window over the bathtub, and there was these corals lined up. And I said, Tubastria, pipe coral, I could identify all the skeletons.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
To him, it's just coral, but I knew what they were, and he couldn't believe I knew what they were.
E quando ele foi na casa do pai deles durante muitos anos, ele conseguiu identificar os corais, porque o pai dele guardava esses corais que já tinham mortos. E o pai dele simplesmente não conseguia acreditar que o filho dele já estava conseguindo identificar os corais. And your father is still with us, Mark?
Yes. Yep. But he hasn't had an aquarium in forever. No. He stopped that a long time ago. So I got into my aquarium, you said 98, but it turns out that's not true. It's actually 97. And what had happened was the day that I went, the day I left the courthouse from getting divorced, I went straight to the fish store and bought me an aquarium. I said to myself, it's time to spend money on me. And I started my first aquarium.
Good to hear you keep some money. Então, na verdade, o Mark ele começou a ter os aquários novamente foi em 97. Em 97 ele acabou de se divorciar e resolveu gastar um dinheiro com ele. E ele foi comprar um aquário marinho. Então, será aí que ele começou de novo no hobby. So, when you started back in the Reef, that's the time that you completely lose money, right?
No, it wasn't bad. It was expensive even back then. I bought a 29-gallon aquarium that day with the undergravel filter, with crushed coral.
Oh boy.
With an air pump. I mean, I literally did what I did as a kid, and that cost me $400. And that seemed like a lot of money for a little tank, but I said, oh, well, I guess that's what things cost. And I had that aquarium for a total of 7 years. But the first year, I didn't know what I was doing. There was no internet. There was really, I mean, I'm sure there were some books in the library, but I didn't go to the library. I had encyclopedias. But I didn't really have a good way to be taught.
But in 97, we already have the wet web media, right? It was founded in 95, right?
Yeah, it existed, but I didn't know about it.
Então, o Mark, ele em 97 ele montou o aquário dele era com Jauber, com a placa de fundo lá, coral esmagado. E no primeiro ano ele não tinha a menor ideia do que estava fazendo, apesar de já existir alguns sites, ele não conhecia, ele não ia. And everything in Texas, right?
Yes, everything's I've been in Texas for a long time. And in 2000.
So you're not Texas born?
No, I was actually born in New York, and I moved to California, and then I moved to Switzerland, and then I moved back to California, and then finally ended up in Texas.
Oh, that's nice. How long have you lived in Switzerland?
For 3 years, when I was a boy. Before the aquarium, before the little tank.
I see it. And well, I believe that's why I was just mentioning to my wife that living in New York is something that I wouldn't be able to handle. I can handle the cold, and I believe that in Texas over there is much better situation regarding climate, right?
Yes.
And when you started with the undergravel, what happened there? You keep the undergravel for the 7 years that you told me?
No, I had it for the first year or two because I didn't know better. And I kept having problems with green hair algae in my aquarium. It was all over the rock. And I went to the fish store and I complained, I have hair algae. How do I get rid of it? And he, said, you need this. And he handed me a bottle.
Oh,
okay. So I put that in my tank. And then a week later, I'm at his store. I still have hair algae. And he says, go. So he gets here he goes, another bottle. You need this one. And he kept selling me every bottle of Kent, whatever product they had. He had 7 bottles. He sold me 7 bottles in 7 weeks. And I still had hair algae. And then he said, I don't know what to tell you. And I was so upset with him because he was a horrible person. And I hated giving him my money because he seemed to hate people. So I ended up ripping out algae by hand. I'll let you go translate.
E quando ele tinha lá o tanquezinho, começou a ter muita alga filamentosa. E ele ia na loja e o cara pegava e dizia, não, usa isso aqui. Que era um vidrinho lá do Kent's Marine. Ele usava. Daí na outra semana ele ia de novo lá, eu ainda tô com alga. E ele dava outro. E ele dava outro, e assim foi se repetindo. Ele acabou comprando 7 vidrinhos do Kent. E simplesmente ele ficou muito frustrado. Ele acabou arrancando tudo na mão, limpando na mão e tirando o filtro de placas. E ele odiava aquele lojista, porque aquele lojista era muito mal-humorado. And Mark, this is one thing that really happens in Brazil. We have so many shop dealers that are not polite with their clients. You won't believe, man. I thought it was only a Brazilian thing.
No. Well, they're not all bad, but this guy was horrible.
I can understand that. The guy wants to sell you a $100, $200 fish, and he's just being bad to you.
Yeah, it was really strange. So I ended up finding, again, no internet. I found something back then called a news group, and you used email, and you would email this group, and your email would show up to everyone that was a member of the group, and then they would read the question or read the answers and learn, and they'd email in the group. This is way before there was forums. So it was an email news group. And I was in there every single day, learning and asking questions and trying to figure things out and trying to make things work. And that was where people started to recognize my name even back then.
E como que ele começou a mudar, como ele começou a aprender? Ele descobriu uma coisa chamada grupo de notícias. Era um e-mail que tu mandava, e esse e-mail era repassado para todo o grupo. E daí as pessoas do grupo respondiam, e todos liam as respostas dele. E assim ele estava diariamente aprendendo, e isso foi muito antes de começar a existir fóruns. And when have you started, Mark, to have the first corals? When you were able to keep them?
I would say 2000. And I started off with a leather coral, you know, like a finger leather. A colt coral is what they called it. And I got some mushrooms. And I bought intentionally, without knowing, Mahanos, which no one would ever. I said, those are the cutest little anemones. I want them. And he said, yeah, no problem, $20. I paid for those stupid things.
Oh my God. Dude, you really need to change your shop store.
That was a different shop. It's not any better.
Então, eu perguntei para ele quando que foi que ele começou a ter os primeiros corais, né? A ter os primeiros animais difíceis dele, falou que foi em relação a 2000. E ele começou como todo mundo começa, com sarcophytons, com leather, com corais softs, né? Com corais moles. E, inclusive, ele comprou uma morrano, achando que era um coral bonito, que era uma animana bonita. Ele disse que ele queria que lá o cara vendeu uma morrano para ele por $20. Então, eu realmente acredito, eu fico feliz que não foi só eu que fiz decisões ruins de compra. So I believe that market, plenty of people would be happy because it was not only themselves that made bad purchasing.
Right, no, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us.
And back then, which light you had? You already had the T5 or what?
I think I probably started with whatever light you get with an aquarium originally. You know, just some kind of a fluorescent bulb. And then it was a little later that I learned about power compacts, which was basically a T5 bent in half. And those were considered better lighting than the stock light bulb. So I bought the power compacts, and my corals were living. And then in 2002, I went to Mackinac, which was here in Fort Worth. And I listened to 15 speakers, and I learned all about everything that had to do with the hobby in 3 days. And I bought my first SPS coral and a clam and put them under the power compacts.
Oh boy, and you lost a lot of money.
Let's see if you remember all that.
Então, ele logo depois ele comprou as Power Compacts. How is that one? That's like a U shape, right?
Yes. It's a U shape with a plug, and you plug it in.
Nice. Então ele acabou mudando as T8 nas lâmpadas fluorescentes convencionais para essas Power Compacts. São aquela em formato de U com 4 pinos, geralmente, ou 3 pinos que a gente conecta, né? E aí ele conseguiu ter uns corais uma condição um pouco melhor para os corais, e ele foi para o Mackinac em 2002, onde foi ali na cidade dele, em Fort Worth, que fica no Texas. E lá ele escutou todas as 13 palestras e aprendeu tudo, e voltou para casa com os primeiros SPS e uma tridacna. And how long, Mark, have they lived the tridacna and the SPS under your Power Compact lights?
That was probably 4 or 5 years.
Oh man!
So I had the anemones, and I had the clams. And actually, that picture I sent you that showed you my website in 2003, that anemone was under Power Compacts.
Man, I really need to find out what is happening with my tank, because I'm not able to keep tridacna clans. It's so strange, and you keep it because this animal. Do you remember which tridacna it was?
T Maxima. I'm very picky. I only get Maximas.
But I'm sharing the screen with the people. So guys, this is the screen. This is the one that he had.
That was my original website back in 2003. That's where I started documenting.
And Mark, regarding the tridacnas, I'm going to make a little parenthesis over there, because everyone says that tridacnas need to have really high output, a really strong lightning. And
Right.
how you were able to do that with power compacts? How many of them you had?
I had 2 of them over the tank, and the tank was only 29 gallons, so it wasn't really tall. You know, it was whatever that height is, 18 inches. And there was my substrate, which was crushed coral, lifting it up, you know. And that little clam grew. And I really wanted the clam. And the coral I got was a Pasillipora, the SPS. And I bought both of those corals. Yeah, I bought both of those specifically to put under the power compacts. And they kind of shrugged their shoulders like, maybe it'll work. You know, there's no guarantee.
Então, eu perguntei para ele como que ele conseguiu criar, né, a tridacna, porque é um animal que todo mundo diz que precisa de muita luz. Eu já tentei 2 vezes e não consegui. Com uma lâmpada que tem uma intensidade luminosa, um par muito baixo, né? E ele disse que simplesmente que funcionou muito bem. O aquário dele era baixo, tinha 18 polegadas. 18 polegadas são 18 vezes 2,54, 45 centímetros o tanque.
Can I share my screen?
Foi tranquilo. Yes, you can do that. Hey, Mark.
Okay, I don't know what you're going to see.
Hey, Mark, do you know how many this power compacts you have?
Because we didn't have par meters back then, so there's no way to know. Let me see. We're going to go with this.
Because it's quite incredible that you were able to keep it.
That's my aquarium that was under the power compact.
Oh, wonderful.
And there you can see the T Maxima.
With a flame angel.
And a flame angel, yeah.
And he didn't touch it.
You know, he probably nipped at a few things, but no, it was never a problem with the clam. So this was the tank and stand.
Esse é o aquário
inside here.
Go ahead. E can you please go up a little bit, Mark?
Yeah, of course.
Então esse era o aquário dele, né? Ele tinha a tridacna ali com o substrato. A tridacna viveu 5 anos e ele tinha até um flame angel junto. Que flame angel ele pode beliscar a tridacna, mas ele disse que não aconteceu problema nenhum e que foram muito bem. E ali embaixo tá o stand dele. How many of the power compacts you had in it?
2.
Só tinha 2 dessas lâmpadas e realmente é inacreditável.
You'll see it here in a moment, I think. There's a picture of it, I believe. So here's the canopy. And there was 1 light here and there was 1 light here.
Canopy is something that we don't see anymore. Here in Brazil, there's no one using it. I believe that in USA, there's still a trend about it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there is, yeah. Some of the livestock in the tank.
Oh,
including a mandarin.
A flamehawk.
Yeah. It was a long-nosed hawkfish.
Long-nosed hawkfish.
Yeah, this one eats bristleworms, so it's a useful fish.
I have saw some guys cooling the baby clownfish to them. He's quite kind of good carnivore, right?
Mm-hmm. It can be, yeah.
Amazing.
So then I added. You can see the dates. There's 2000. What is it? September 2002 when I added the Pasillipora. And a few days later, I got a brown Acropora and a green one. There's my clam.
For here in Brazil, things are quite pricey. A colony from this size, about this, I don't know, it's a turquoise Acropora. How much would you have paid for it?
Back then, we probably paid about $40 to $45 for a colony.
Boy, that's really, really cheap. Custava em torno de $40, $50 uma colônia desse tamanho de corais. And nowadays, how much it is?
You know, you can't buy colonies anymore. That's just not even available. We all buy frags.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Então, mudou muito os hábitos comerciais. Hoje não se encontra em lugar nenhum colônias para vender. Todo mundo vendendo só os frags, né? And how about tridacna clams, Mark? How much does it cost over there in USA? A maxima, for example?
Probably, I'm guessing because it's been a long time, but I would guess probably maybe $80. Maybe
Em torno de
$80
$80
each. I'm not sure.
custa mais ou menos uma tridacna máxima. About 3 inches.
You can get little tiny ones for about $35 or $40. They're maybe an inch, but they're very hard to keep alive when they're that small.
Yes, they are only filtration ones, so that's really hard to keep it.
Right.
Então, mais ou menos umas de 10 centímetros que custam em torno de $90, $80, $90. And back then, how you use it to do your nutrient export? It was based on what? Only water changes, or?
Well, even back then, I didn't like water changes, but I had a protein skimmer on the back.
Okay.
And later I added a sump with a refugium. And that's also on the website. Everything's on my website. It all exists. So
então,
I'll show you guys how to get to that really quick. Let me do that.
Então,
so when you go to my website.
Como que ele fazia a exportação de nutrientes, né? Ele disse que ele nunca foi fã de fazer TPA. Ele tinha um skimmer, né? E atrás ele acabou colocando também um sump com algas, né? E isso que ele acabava cuidando.
T5s. Here's a 29-gallon growing over a few years. This is kind of a cool article. So here it is when it was rock and hair algae. And
deep sand bed you have been
then
into.
It changed. Here it is in 2003. And you can see the overflow box here where the water is going down to the sump. This was the pump for the protein skimmer. This right here and this right here were part of the closed loop. And this is the pipe with the holes to suck the water into the closed loop to create flow in the tank.
Então tinha um closed loop, sistema de closed loop. Ali na primeira foto dava para ver o tanque onde ele fazia,
and this was
né?
The last picture. This is the end because after I went, this tank was taken down in 2004 when I set up the 280-gallon reef.
E essa ali foi a última foto, ele desmontou esse tanque para montar um maior. No SUMP, quais os tipos de alga que ele tinha e ele conseguia manter nitratos e fosfatos baixos? When you use it to have the SUMP, you told me that you keep microalgae. Which algae would be? I see Chaetomorpha and Caulerpa, right?
That's correct. That's what I had back then, was Chaetomorpha and Caulerpa.
And they use it to be successful when keeping nitrates and phosphates down?
Yeah, it worked really well for this tank. I think because it was so big compared to the 29-gallon aquarium, because this right here was 14 gallons and it was very full. So this sump right here, the drain is coming in here and then it went into a bubble tower and it came in here and you see there's no bubbles. And I measured pH. Then the water would flow through the baffles and into the return zone. And this was a cooling fan blowing down on the water. And there was a float switch back here for top off.
That's quite nice. Impressive in 2004. Então, essa daí era a montagem dele. Ali a água caía no canto direito e passava por ali. Era um sump bem grande para o tamanho do aquário que era. O aquário tinha 29 galões, esse sump tinha 14 galões. Então, era bem significativo. E ali tinha uma top-off com um sistema de reposição de água doce, de eclusa com uma boia. Com a boia elétrica aquela. Pessoal, antes da gente continuar, eu quero pedir para vocês compartilharem o nosso link aí para a gente aumentar um pouquinho o número de espectadores e prestigiar o nosso convidado, tá? Aqueles que ainda não deram like, também, por favor, o façam. Mark, back then you used it to do water testing, right? It has been always in US, it was quite present, right?
Yeah.
Então, sempre tudo isso daí era montado com...
If you look in this picture, you can see I was using API originally, and later I switched to Salifert. Yes,
how it is API over there? It's a bit doesn't share a quite good reputation here in Brazil. We prefer HANA, of course, and later we go with Salifert. Salifert, they are Dutch, right?
Yeah. Well, API has a huge market for freshwater people, and I think that's why they're so ginormous. And, you know, for saltwater, people use it and people put it down. But I use it to measure nitrate because it's accurate. it's going to tell me either 0 or it's going to, it will go all the way up to 200. And since I am really good at growing nitrate, I need a test kit that can handle it.
Então ele usa, eu perguntei para ele como era a reputação da API, né? Da API lá. Ele disse que lá nos Estados Unidos eles são muito famosos, principalmente por causa da questão dos testes de água doce. Então por isso que eles são tão gigantes e têm uma presença muito grande. No Aquário Marinho já o pessoal usa e acaba mudando de marca. No caso ele mudou para Salifert. E no Salifer e no API ele continua utilizando o nitrato, porque o nitrato é preciso para ele, né? Ele tem uma boa escala que vai até 200. And regarding ionic balance, how you use it to do that? You add trace elements, or how you deal with it, since you do not like to do water changes?
With that tank, I was using B-ionic, which is a 2-part dose that was liquid, and it came part, A and B, and you put in alkalinity and calcium each day, and I actually poured it in by hand each day. I did want to just mention to you, the power compact, that was incorrect. There was 3, because I can see 1, 2, and then the third one is here on the top. And this is what the bulb looked like. You can almost see the socket there on the edge. So no, B-ionic was the best way to dose back then. And that was how your tank would, because it wasn't just alkaline calcium, it was alkalinity, calcium, and 80 trace elements in every little bit you poured in. It was mixed into the recipe.
Então, primeiro ele fez uma correção, eram 3 Power Compacts que tinham lá na aquário dele, ele mostrou ali nas fotos, e eu perguntei para ele sobre a questão do equilíbrio iônico, como era feito, já que ele não gostava de fazer TPAs. E ele disse que ele usava a solução B-ionic, that's Tropic, right?
ESV is B-ionic. I mean, I don't know what ESV stands for.
Okay. Oh, boy, I don't remember the brand, but it's became quite well-known name. Então ele usa essa B-ionic que tem 8 elementos, suponho que sejam 8 macroelementos e não traços elementos, né? Então era isso que ele usava para manter a estabilidade no aquário dele.
This stuff right here. That's what I used. 1 and 2.
ESV. And you still use that or not?
No, that's what I used to the 29 gallon and the 55 gallon.
Mm-hmm.
Then when
nowadays,
I
what do you use?
Now I have a calcium reactor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been running a calcium reactor since 2004 till now, so 16 years. And it's the same reactor.
Oh boy, that's a good brand. Which brand it is?
Reef. It's made in Denver.
Hoje,
I've had to fix it a couple of times, but it still goes.
Desde 2004 ele usa um reator de cálcio que é feito em Denver, que se chama Reef, e ele tem mantido dessa forma. Então, para traços, elementos traços e macroelementos, ele usa todos esses. E o magnésio, eu vou perguntar para ele agora. And how about magnesium? How you do it?
That one, I'm using something else. I'll show it to you. Give me a second to find it. Would have been quicker to just do a search. Let's see. I use a product from Two Little Fishies called Magnesium Pronto.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what this looks like. I have to keep sharing my screen.
So there is no magnesium beads that you put in the calcium reactor. You just add
No, I got away from that because it didn't seem to do anything. My tank drinks magnesium. It loves it. And when I don't dose it, the number comes down and I have to put in quite a bit.
Okay.
Now this jar right here, which is 1,000 grams, so it's not really big. I mean, what is that, a pound and a half of powder? But it makes something like 4.5 gallons of magnesium solution. So it's a really cost-effective magnesium. I mix up almost a gallon. I mean, I have a recipe on here, right down here. I explain exactly how to mix it and how much to use. It's not a full gallon, it's less. But if you mix that up and then use a dosing pump and put in a little bit every single day, it will keep your magnesium up where it belongs. And I dose 80 milliliters of magnesium a day.
Então, para a questão do magnésio, ele tem um consumo muito alto e ele acaba usando esse produto da Two Little Fishies, lá a empresa do Julian, que se chama Magnésio Pronto. E ele coloca numa bomba dosadora e ele dosa 80 ml por dia aí. É uma quantia bem grande aí, porque o aquário dele também é gigantesco, né? It's 400 gallons your tank, right?
450. Yep.
450. That's the display only or with sump?
That's everything. That's display, sump, anemone cube.
O tanque dele tem quase 1.600 litros, tá? Total, incluindo o display e sump. Então, é gigantesco. Gigantesco. And
then I
Mark,
dose Prodibio. I've been dosing Prodibio in my reef since 2011, and I put in 4 vials every 15 days for 9 years.
The Prodibio Biodigest or what? Or
yeah,
which one?
Biodigest, Bioptim, Stronti Plus, and IOD Plus. I put those in on every single 15 days.
Ele dosa 4 produtos da Prodibio, né? Um deles que é bem conhecido aqui, que é a Biodigest. E ele faz isso há 4 semanas aí, uma vez por semana aí para pegar e sempre tá dosando e deixando o tanque dele bem. Mark, when have you decided to make your hobby your profession?
In 2009, I decided I wanted to only make money with MelevsReef and not do what I was doing already, which was cleaning floors. So I was a janitor and I would strip and wax floors at night whenever the places were closed. I did a lot of businesses.
That's hard.
Oh, I know. You move the furniture out, you strip the floors clean, you rinse them, you let them dry, you put down wax, you let it dry, you put down wax, you let it dry, and then you bring all the furniture back in. And I did this for 2 decades and I was sick of it. I didn't want to do it anymore. And in 2009, I said, I'm going to either make money with my website or I'm going to starve to death and I won't have to work anymore because I'll be dead.
Então, em 2009, ele tomou a decisão da vida dele. Ele queria fazer o hobby dele, a profissão. Ele queria se dedicar ao site dele, o MelevsReef. Ele já tinha um canal de YouTube, já tinha tudo, mas ele ainda não vivia disso. Ele fazia serviços de limpeza, né, de zeladoria. Pelo que eu entendi com as palavras dele, ele fazia limpezas específicas em polimento de chão. E ele fez isso durante 2 anos. And so how it was this big decision? Because man, it's a big decision. At 2 years, 2 decades, business, you just stopped it and decided to focus on the reef keeping.
Yeah, I did. I was already selling RODI systems for a few years through my website, but it wasn't a lot of income. It was just a little bit. But then I started making things out of acrylic, building sumps and making photo boxes and skimmer stands. And so then I just told the world, this is what I'm doing full time. And I, begged people to buy things from me. And I did that for several years and it was hard. And it wasn't, I mean, like I said, it was hard. And my mother even helped me out a few times when I couldn't pay the bills, just gave me a little bit of money to kind of get me over the hump. But the business has grown bigger and bigger every year. The website keeps getting updated. It's nicer and nicer. And my products are much better than they were back then.
You have kids, Mark?
I have a son.
How old is he?
He's 32.
How old?
32.
32.
And I have a grandson who's turning 3 in July.
How old are you, Mark?
39 forever.
Man, I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm 35. Really,
yeah, I
dude,
refuse to grow old. I'm a big kid.
I thought that you have no more than 40. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Então, eu perguntei para o Mark como foi, né, esse momento de transição. E aí ele disse que foi bem difícil. E ele começou a se dedicar a construir estandes e começou a construir coisas em acrílico, né? E ele começou a oferecer isso. Ele já tinha o site dele vendendo os ROs, né, as osmoses reversas, mas isso não trazia muito dinheiro para ele. Então ele começou a fazer essas coisas e foi bem difícil. Algumas vezes a mãe dele teve que até pagar as contas para ele, né? E por final eu perguntei se ele tinha filhos. Ele disse que tem um filho de 32 anos e ele já tem um neto. E eu perguntei para ele quantos anos ele tem, mas ele não disse. But man, it just surprised me. I cannot believe it. And when the business started going good?
The last 2 years have been very good. And I think part of it is the way the website was redesigned. It looked more professional and it became mobile friendly, which was really important for people using their cell phones. Forever, my website hated cell phones, and Google would say not mobile friendly, and people would try to do things on their phone, which you can't. And I'd say use your computer to buy things. And I hired Emasis to rebuild my site and transfer all my blogs all the way back to 2003, get them all into the new site, which is a huge undertaking. There's thousands of blogs. So all that information's still in the site, and the business has really been growing. And even with COVID-19, business didn't slow down at all. It's actually, I'd say it's stronger because people are at home spending money, which I'm amazed.
Nos últimos 2 anos, o negócio começou a deslanchar. Ele fez uma mudança, uma migração de site para que tornasse ele compatível com telefones celulares. E as pessoas antes queriam comprar e tinham que acessar o computador para comprar. E agora isso mudou, ele transferiu também todos os blogs que ele tinha, aquelas imagens, aquelas coisas que a gente viu, era tudo de postagens da época dele. E aí que o negócio começou a andar. E agora, com o Covid, o negócio até melhorou, porque as pessoas estão em casa e estão gastando dinheiro. And so you mentioned to me before we started that it's about 50-50. Things are just going, starting to go back. And how do you see the market? How do you see the hobby market over there in USA?
I'm a little worried about it because it comes down to, can the suppliers keep getting product? Can they bring fish and corals into the country with the quarantine? Will the airlines, I mean, I was told by one fish store, and he gave me specific numbers. So I'm just going to tell you what he told me. He said, if I order $2,000 in fish, it's going to cost me $3,500 to receive the shipment because they're charging 75% in shipping.
Same thing here in Brazil, about 90%, and all the imports have stopped, man. Actually, as I mentioned to you, I have an import company as well, and boy, China is completely closed down. Their factories are not exporting anything, and the prices are just skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Então,
I figure you want to translate.
Perguntei para ele sobre essa questão, como que ele vê o mercado, né? E ele disse que está bem preocupante, né? Ele conversou ultimamente com um outro lojista, né? Mesmo se eu gastasse $2.000 em peixes, isso ia me custar $3.500 em frete, porque não está tendo voo, não está tendo comércio por causa dessa questão do Covid, né? Então tá bem preocupante.
So what I think they're doing, the stores are going to charge more for a fish. They're not going to tell you, I paid $1,800 shipping. That one fish that you used to get for $40 will be $120 now to cover the cost of shipping. And there's going to be less fish. It's going to be about corals and growing them out.
E ele acredita que os valores dos peixes, dos animais vão continuar tendo disponibilidade, mas eles vão quintuplicar de valor. E o negócio vai ficar mais focado nos corais, em ter corais. And I believe, Mark, that's going to be more profitable because corals is where the money is, right?
Right.
Don't you agree?
And I don't even sell corals. I sell everything except livestock. So for me, it's, I have a tank full of coral, and I don't sell frags. I don't even cut it. I leave it alone and let it be pretty and just let it get big. And there are companies that make money and make a lot of money selling corals, and I make a little money gluing things together. So, I mean, I really should sell corals, but I don't want to do it.
But how you don't prune corals? I have saw maybe 2 or 3 videos from you from your annual pruning. So what do you do with them?
Usually I give them away. Or maybe we trade frags. One hobbyist gives me some corals, I give him some back. But when that big video where we took everything out of the tank 2 years ago, I invited my club to come here, and I did a barbecue, and I bought a bunch of Cokes and a bunch of beer, and I said, you're coming to my party, and you're going to leave with frags. And everyone came here, and they all left with bags full of corals, and that way the corals weren't wasted. But I didn't sell them. You know, I just want to give them away.
Oh, these times makes me wish to live in Texas.
Well, in 2 years, I'll need you here.
Oh, okay, we can arrange that. Let's see how it's going to be the exchange rate. Man, the exchange rate went from about 3.8 to reaching 5.9 today. So you can't imagine, we are just going crazy over there. Thank God the gasoline, the gas prices went down. Otherwise, everything it will be crazy expensive.
Yeah,
Então,
gas came down here a lot.
Então ele não vende corais, ele faz dinheiro colando as coisas que são os acrílicos, os móveis dele, né? E essa é a única coisa que ele não vende. Tem um vídeo dele que eu assisti, que eu comentei com ele, que ele pegou e desmontou quase todo o aquário dele, porque os corais estavam muito grandes, não tinha espaço, tinha coral saindo. E o que ele fez? Ele convidou os amigos do clube dele e ele deu muda para todo mundo, fez uma festa, fez um churrasco, fez com bebida e cerveja e fez uma festa lá pro pessoal e todo mundo saiu com os frags. Então foi bem legal e eu comentei para ele, é uma pena que eu não moro lá perto, né? Que eu não moro lá no Texas, porque, meu Deus, os corais deles são lindos, lindos, lindos. Yeah, Mark, this makes us worry as well, really worry especially regarding jobs and things like that. Here the hobby is becoming more and more expensive because, you know, everything come out of the world. Here in Brazil, we do have some companies that make skimmers, that make algae scrappers, but you know, the pumps are from outside,
right?
And mostly are the Chinese and many things from USA, but the prices are getting quite prohibitive. You need to just see the Brazilian situation to imagine that here in Brazil.
That's the big question. How are we going to be able to, like you were saying before, how will the hobby survive? How will my own business survive if I can no longer get supplies? If I can no longer get lights from Ecotech? If I can no longer get pumps from Cobalt? If I can no longer get controllers from Apex, you know, from Neptune Systems, you know, as those sources dry up and they run out of inventory. And then the other thing is, the reality is that when there is a pandemic right now, and people somehow found money to make things work. But if this thing is going to last another 1.5 years, 2 years, and people are really struggling to buy groceries, they're going to lose their hobby. They're going to get rid of it. And that if people don't have a hobby, that affects my business. You know, I want them to be successful, but there is the risk that they can't afford to keep an aquarium any longer because they have to eat and they have to put gas in the car and they have to pay for, you know, doctor's visits. And once that happens, then what happens to my business? I don't know.
Today you work alone, Mark, or you
Yes.
you have a team? You work alone?
No, it's team of one.
Oh, that's less headaches, because when you have employees, it's just headaches, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I don't have employees is because I don't trust anyone.
Yeah, it's quite hard. It's quite hard.
It really is.
Então, a questão de que vai acontecer com esse mundo, né, com essa questão do Covid, uma coisa é se durar 6 meses, 7 meses, mas se durar 1 ano, 1 ano e meio, 2 anos, as empresas que lá produzem, como a Ecotech, como a Neptune, uma hora elas vão ficar sem inventário, assim como a gente não está conseguindo importar, eles também não estão conseguindo. E como que ele vai sobreviver? Como que vai acontecer quando as pessoas tiverem que comprar comida? O que vai acontecer com o hobby? Então essa sim é uma preocupação bem grande que está tendo. Nós vamos ir agora para as questões específicas que eu fiz. Foram 6 questões, né? Eu vou até pedir licença para ele quando a gente, se ele tiver que sair, alguma coisa que ele fale para nós, né? Porque a gente já se estendeu, já passaram 50 minutos aí, a gente ficou ainda uma boa conversa. E vamos ir respondendo uma a uma. Mark, first I would like to say to you once again, really thank you. And now we are going to the questions of expertise, from your expertise. We are quite delayed on your shadow time. It was supposed for us to last only 20 minutes on the former questions, but the conversation was quite good. The chatting was quite good. So if you need to go, if you have a commitment to attend to, just let us know, okay? And
we can keep going. I'll just work later tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Brazilian audience really say thanks to you.
Oh, I have to say this. Brazil!
Então, vamos para a primeira pergunta, né? A gente vê uma tendência no Brasil, que eu também acredito que está acontecendo nos Estados Unidos, sobre a utilização de iluminação híbrida. No caso aqui nosso, LED mais T5. E eu acredito isso para um melhor entendimento da conversão, da fotoconversão. Como tu acredita que isso vai modificar o hobby e quais são as tendências nessa relação que está acontecendo? Mark, we see a tendency in Brazil, which I believe that's also happening in the USA, regarding the use of hybrid light sets. Here in Brazil, mostly LED and T5s, credited to the better understanding about photoconversion. How you believe this will affect the hobby, and is this a tendency that will take most of the hobby?
I think that people are embracing the idea of hybrids to change or increase the different types of lighting over their aquarium out of curiosity more than out of a master plan. Because we have seen people grow aquariums under one light or under two lights. And then someone will suddenly show up on the internet with a beautiful reef tank and they added all these extra lights. And so people want to mimic that. And they say, well, if that worked for that guy and he can have that kind of tank, I'm going to add more and I'll add T5s or I'll add XHOs.
Ele acredita que isso as pessoas estão fazendo mais por curiosidade do que como um grande plano. Porque já foi criados muitos e muitos corais em cima de uma luz ou duas luzes. E agora está aparecendo na internet fotos de pessoas com com formatos híbridos e isso está trazendo curiosidade para elas. Então, ele acredita que é mais por curiosidade do que por um objetivo concreto. And this is what I said to you is true, right? There is a tendency over there in USA to be using T5s with LEDs as well, right?
More and more people are doing that, and they're using it to get rid of the shadows, to fill in more of the tank with more extra light, because fluorescent bulbs fill a room. You know, they'll fill everything in. And if you turn off your LEDs and put a par meter into a tank with T5s and you try and measure, the number doesn't change. It's all the same number all the way across. It's the weirdest thing. But if you turn off the T5s and you turn on the LEDs and you measure, the numbers jump around on the scale. It's a completely different lighting spectrum or transmission through the water. And I remember measuring tanks with T5s thinking, this is so weird, the number doesn't change. I mean, obviously as you go deeper, but it would be a solid number straight across horizontally.
Então, os números, quando a gente faz uma medição par, onde tem T5, eles não alteram, porque a T5 ela faz um cobertor de luz. Ou seja, em qualquer um dos pontos que tu vai estar passando o par meter, ele vai dar sempre os mesmos números. Então, essa é a principal utilização hoje que as pessoas estão fazendo, em eliminar as sombras utilizando a T5 junto. And which types of lighting are you using there?
The tank behind me in this picture is metal halides with XHO LEDs. So XHO is my supplemental light, which is made of LEDs. It used to be VHOs.
And how about this how to say that in English?
The radion?
No, not radion, because, you know, they say it's radioactive.
Oh, the radiation?
There's the radiation, I would say that. How you deal with that? Because there's a lot of speculation, people saying that, so in the radiometer, there is 11 points and this can cause cancer in anyone. You don't have any skin cancer, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't hug my lights. I just turn them on and look at it from over here. I mean, my tank is 15 feet away, but
and you use a canopy, right?
Well, there's a piece of cardboard between me and the lights. I mean, that's it. There's no wood. So, okay. I mean, technically, it's just a piece of foam I can lift off because I refuse to build woodwork. The tank's only 6.5 years old. What's your rush?
Então, no tanque dele, ele usa HQI, tá? Eu perguntei para ele, mas e o câncer que pode dar, né? Por causa dos altos níveis de radiação, né? Ele disse, não, nunca teve problema. Entre as luzes, inclusive, tem as luzes e um papelão que ele põe, que ele não fez nenhum móvel ainda, porque ele não teve preguiça ainda de fazer isso.
I might do the woodwork this year, maybe.
I really enjoy that. You know, that's one thing that I must say about our hobby. In your hobby, you just don't only try to raise fishes. You just going to plumbing, to electrical, to woodworking. Myself now, I'm in the woodworking phase. I haven't gone to acrylic, and boy, I really enjoy that. And then when you have a purpose for building a tank stand, building it for a friend, it's something that really makes us happy about it.
I asked a friend years ago if he could do the woodwork around that stand in the aquarium. And, you know, he does beautiful work. And I can build it. I used to build houses. I mean, I could build it. But I don't like to paint. And I don't want to have drips in my paint. You know, I want the clear coat to look professional. So I contacted him and said, this is what I want. It's going to be this project. And I knew it was not complicated. And he told me that he could do it, and it was going to be $1,500. And I said, $1,500? That seems like a lot of money. And so I didn't do it. And here we are 6.5 years later, and I have no woodwork. I mean, that's what I said. I might just have to do it, and I'll brush on the enamel myself, and I'll hopefully not have a lot of drips.
Então, ele tá lá com essa questão dos tanques, né? Ele chegou a ver, inclusive, a gente trabalhou com madeira, né? Mas ele pediu para fazer um orçamento de pintura, porque ele não gosta de se envolver com pintura. E o cara queria cobrar $500 para fazer isso, e obviamente que ele não fez e acabou ficando para depois. Próxima pergunta. Um problema recorrente no nosso hobby são dinoflagelados, que ainda não foi bem conhecido a causa, e a grande maioria se especula que é entre a relação do nitrogênio e do nitrato, e uma falta de estabilidade na população bacteriana. Quais são as tuas opiniões e no que tu acredita num tratamento para os dois tipos mais comuns, a Ostreopsis e o Anfidinium? A recurring problem in our hobby are dinoflagelates. It still haven't been quite understood by our hobby, Mark, but there is speculation between the relationship about total nitrogen and nitrates, and also the lack of stability on the bacterial population. What are your beliefs and what you suggest for the treatment of the two most current ones, Ostreopsis and Anfidinium?
The problem, I believe the reason so many people have this problem pop up in their aquarium is because they use dry sand and dry rock. They're so fearful of any kind of a pest that they're eliminating all the beneficial bacteria that you get from live sand and live rock. And I feel like if you just set up a tank with live rock and live sand, you're going to avoid this more. I mean, dinoflagelates wasn't a thing 15 years ago. Occasionally some person had it, but now seems like every hobbyist is fighting it. And for the last 2 or 3 years, I keep seeing brown tanks that look terrible, and I really want someone to come up with a cure.
Há 15 anos atrás, todo mundo utilizava substrato vivo, rocha viva. E não existia isso. Era muito, muito raro ter esse tipo de problema. Então, ele acredita isso para a maior utilização de substrato seco, de substrato morto, de rochas mortas. Aqui no Brasil a gente não tem isso, né? Mas lá nos Estados Unidos o pessoal tem essa opção. Então isso é o que ele acredita. In Brazil we don't have this option, Mark, for us to have live sand, live mud, live rock. There is no chance for us to have it. and it's forbidden by law. So it's something that we never saw it. I myself, I'm in the hobby for 12 years in the marine hobby. Before, when I was a child, I also had a tank, and I can say to you that never have ever saw it. And how you deal with it? Have you already passed through this problem? How you deal with Australopsis and Amphidinium?
Well, I myself have only had one type of Dinoflagelates. It was brown and stringy, and it came in on a single coral that I came home with from Florida, a Gorgonian, and it was like a tall purple tree, and the whole thing was just covered in this brown stuff. So I reached into the tank and I took the coral out of the water, and I took a bucket of water and I put the coral in, and I spun around like this, and all the dinos came off, and then I put it back in the tank. And the next day it would be covered, and I put it in the bucket and I spun it around again. I did this for several days, and I knew the coral would not live with me doing this every day. It can't survive manhandling. But that was enough to reduce its population in my tank, and it never took hold.
A única situação que ele teve foi um coral, uma gorgônia que ele trouxe, que teve esse tipo que era filamentoso. Provavelmente era Ostreopsis, a gente só vai saber analisando, né? E ele cuidou disso simplesmente tirando o coral, botando no balde e chacoalhando. E ele fez isso 2, 3 vezes, e isso reduziu significativamente a quantidade de bactérias. Então, resumindo, o que o Marc quer dizer é que é sim um desequilíbrio bacteriano, ele acredita que seja isso e que essa estabilidade é importantíssima.
So the only way that I've seen it work there's a couple of things on the market, things you can get at the market, as long as COVID-19 didn't stop. Even peroxide is one of the methods used to knock down dinoflagelates in an aquarium. And there is a specific recipe that someone came up with years ago where you use it for 8 days in a row in a tank that only has a little bit. But if the tank has a lot, that's a whole other battle. And now we've got products like bacteria in a jar, like Live Rock Enhance, Reef Enhance, the food from Benepets has beneficial bacteria. It's like you were saying in your question, the lack of the beneficial bacteria is leading to the problem. We have to replace that bacteria that's missing to level everything out. So there's a harmony in the tank.
Então, é acreditado sim a diferença bacteriana na estabilidade da população de bactérias, né? Existem alimentos que contêm isso nos Estados Unidos e também esses suplementos que a gente costuma colocar nos aquários. Isso vai fazer que seja obtido um equilíbrio. Próxima pergunta. A primeira vez que eu vi a utilização de sais de lantânio, né? Cloreto de lantânio, para absorção, na verdade, adsorção, como ressaltou meu amigo Ledo, lá de Caxias, na adsorção de ortofosfato, o PO4, que a gente costuma chamar de fosfato. Mas isso tem vários relatos, como, por exemplo, que o Daniel Knopp, que é o editor da Coral Magazine, relatou no deterioramento da saúde de bivalves, de tridacnas, por exemplo. Eu sei que o Marc fez alguns vídeos a respeito disso e eu vou questioná-lo quais foram as utilizações. Marc, the first time that I saw the use of Lantanium Chloride, the lantanium salts for orthophosphate absorption, was in your channel. I believe that you made a video regarding Coral RX.
Phosphate RX.
Yeah, Phosphate RX. It was about 2-3 years ago, right?
At least.
And there are many relates, including from Daniel Knopp from the Coral Magazine, that using lantanium salts caused the deterioration of bivalves, tridacnas. How was your observations when using it? Because you had tridacnas in your tank and you dose it.
I've never had a problem with clams and Phosphate RX. I haven't had a problem with anything with Phosphate RX. And I've been using that product now for 10 years. It's so nice to say a decade. I finally can say I've been using it for a decade. And I don't lose fish, I don't lose corals. You may see 1 or 2 corals act a little weird for a little while. I've had clams go through it, never had a problem. Maybe because I don't use it at full strength. You know, I'm not drowning the tank in the product. I don't look to hit the maximum amount. But
You add
I also
it
don't
right
use
in
it all the
the
time.
skimmer center, right?
Yeah, the skimmer section. It still makes a cloud in the tank.
Oh, you using the skimmer section. I have heard that you need to take out the skimmer cup and drip it inside.
It's not really going to work because think about this. For example, if I use 130 drops and I take the cup off, or I take the lid off the cup and just do it down the neck, and I put in 130 drops, more than likely, most of it's going to come right into the cup immediately. And the whole body of water in my aquarium never got touched. It only did the 4 or 5 gallons in the body of the skimmer. So I put it directly into the skimmer section. I watched the entire section of the sump turn cloudy. The cloud moves into the return zone. Then the cloud pumps into the display tank, and my tank becomes cloudy. In a few hours, and I always do it late at night. I usually do it 11 o'clock at night, midnight, 1 in the morning. And the next day, my water is crystal clear, and the skimmer pulled out what it needed to.
Your clams have no effect on it.
I've never saw a problem with it. No, I haven't had any clams in the last few years, but I have some little filter feeder clams that have been with me for 10, 12 years, and they're still alive. And they've been through it 50, 60 times.
Ele já usa há 10 anos o Phosphate RX. É um produto que são sais de lantânio e eles servem para absorver o ortofosfato. E tinha relatos, né, como eu comentei lá da Coral Magazine, do editor-chefe do Daniel Knopp, que isso gerava problemas e teve deterioração dos bivalves. E ele relatou que não ocasionou nenhum problema na utilização dele já ao longo desses 10 anos. E que, inclusive, ele não faz o que algumas pessoas recomendam, que seria pingar, né, depositar o cloreto de lantânio no meio do skimmer, para que ele seja absorvido e não acumule no tanque. Ele, porque é um tanque gigantesco, ele sempre coloca em tudo que é lugar, fica todo turvo a água, e no outro dia de manhã está limpo. Então ele faz isso à noite, e no outro dia de manhã a água já está cristalina. And the Lantanium Chloride, I have saw a video that you started using it, the PA, how it is, how it's doing, you have the same effect?
Are you talking about Phosban L?
No, I believe that I saw a video from you, a thumbnail where you're using Lantanium Chloride itself in a big syringe.
Yeah, that was Phosban L. So this is what I've been using the longest. Let me show this to you really quick, and then I'll show you the other one. So this one is what I've been using for a long time. And I took this picture jamming this bottle in a bunch of Roaphos. How it's more superior than GFO.
Essa foto é ele que fez ali, e daí o Phosphate RX está em cima do GFO, né? Ou seja, que é mais superior, né?
All right, let me find the other one really quick.
So you actually prefer the Lantanium salts instead of the GFO?
Right. Yeah, I don't use GFO. So this is the Phosban L. And this stuff has been out now for about 2 years. And this is so much more concentrated than Phosphate RX. So technically, this would be more money. I'd save more money using this, but there's more work involved. That's why I like to use Phosphate RX.
For example?
Phosphate RX, the little bottle is $28. I probably use 2 or 3 bottles a year. I mean, it's not a lot. It's just, and it's convenient because I can just count the drops and I'm done. But the other video you saw, I had to mix 20 milliliters of Phosban L with 40 milliliters of RODI water, had to mix it, had to put it into a syringe, had to stand over the tank and squeeze a syringe in. It's more work versus the bottle I just squeeze and count. So I actually prefer that. But the one bottle would make 1,500 milliliters of solution. So it saves you more money, but it's more work. And I like less work.
Então ele tem essa outra opção agora para a utilização de sais de lantânio, que é aquele modelo da Phosban, Phosphate L. Já é um produto que está há 2 anos, mas ele dá mais trabalho. Você tem que fazer uma mistura com água de RO e depois colocar com a seringa. Já o outro ele só pinga. Então ele acaba utilizando aquele outro que só pinga porque dá menos trabalho. How much do you keep your phosphates?
It just depends. They usually are, I mean, realistically, they're between 0.1 and 0.75. So there's a lot. And yet my tank, I mean, I just measured it last week and it was 0.25. So it's not bad. But I've never worried about phosphates. It's never been a scary thing to me. I just didn't want the algae. And my tank has nitrate, my tank has phosphate, my tank has a refugium full of plants, and I've got a turf scrubber growing a bunch of weeds. So, and my tank, my reef doesn't have algae in it, and that's all that matters.
Os fosfatos dele ele mantém entre 0,2 a 0,75 e a única coisa que importa para ele é que não tenha alga nos vidros. E é esse o foco dele. Então ele tem várias formas de exportar o fosfato, né? E o foco dele está em não ter as algas.
Let me show you something really quick before we switch.
Please.
On my website, I just put up a brand new blog article or blog. So let me share.
No site dele, ele acabou de colocar um novo artigo que ele vai estar mostrando para nós.
This is my latest blog. And this coral died. I've had it for a year and a half and the whole thing died and it turned this crazy green color. That is literally what it looked like the day after it died. This is what it looked like before it died.
Antes ele era assim e ele acabou ficando com aquele verde esquisito, no outro dia ele morreu.
So when a coral does this in your aquarium, when it changes color, that's usually the last thing you see before it's gone. It should have been white, but it was green, which made me think because of my phosphates, it is full of algae in the skeleton itself.
E o que faz ele pensar que o coral, quando ele vai morrer, ele deveria ficar branco, mas no caso dele ele ficou verde, porque provavelmente está cheio de algas por causa dos fosfatos.
However, I left it in the tank and ignored it
Mas
instead
ele
of pulling
deixou...
it out, and it turned white. All the green went away.
Mas ele deixou no tanque, né? Não retirou o coral morto, e o coral acabou ficando branco depois.
So what was interesting to me was that this coral died in my tank, and this is 6 weeks later. It should have been covered in algae, hair algae, bubbles, and all that. You can see a little bit of bubble algae here, but the skeleton didn't become full of algae.
Mas o curioso é que esse daí coral ficou 6 semanas ali e ele não ficou cheio de alga, o que seria o normal. A única coisa que ele teve foi algumas valônias ali dentro, mas deveria estar cheio de algas.
So if you look, you can see that there's a hermit crab right here, and there's some valonia or bubble algae right here, but it's growing coralline on it. I have never seen this in a reef tank where a dead skeleton didn't become a horrible algae mess.
E ali tem um ermitão, tem um pouquinho de valônia, mas está criando algo calcária em cima. E isso é a primeira vez, é algo inédito para ele. Primeira vez que um coral morto não vira cheio de alga.
So I'm going to remove it, obviously, and put something pretty there instead. But I thought this was a very interesting thing, and that's why I blogged about it on my website.
Mas é uma coisa bem interessante, ele vai retirar agora esse coral, mas foi uma coisa que ele resolveu registrar porque é um tema interessante.
Kind of neat, right?
Inédita. Yeah, that's it. Not bad. Your father is going to love it.
He actually cannot believe how much I know. Because, you know, you grew up with a little aquarium, you turned it into a business, you talk to people on YouTube every week. He's amazed that it went from that little thing to where I am today.
But that's quite interesting. Why he hadn't keep a reef tank? If he used it to like it, why he doesn't give a try now?
I really don't know. I never even asked him. I guess he just didn't like the idea of the water changes, which I totally agree.
Me too. Você tem um tanque gigantesco com um monte de peixes e por um período longo já, né? E a gente sabe que o sedimento, o substrato, ele acaba virando uma armadilha de detritos. Principalmente quando tu tem muito peixe. Como que tu faz a manutenção do teu substrato e qual a tua opinião sobre os tanques bare bottom? Mark, you keep a huge reef with plenty of fishes and for a long time period, already 6 years as you mentioned to me. And it's well known that the substrate becomes a detritus trap over the time, especially when you have so many fishes. How is your maintenance schedules and opinion about bare bottom tanks?
Okay, before you answer that, I need you to smile. Great, thank you. I needed that picture. I've had the sand bed in this tank for 6.5 years. The tank before it, with the 280, was 6 years old. And when I took the sand out, which was about this thick, which is about 4 inches, it was full of brown ugly. But there was no sulfur, there was no black death, there was none of the things that people are so scared of. It's just dirty sand. It was just sand and poop.
How big were the grains? Oh, you said to me that was crushed coral, so I believe they were quite big.
No,
right?
originally that was in the 29. I'm talking about the 280. That was a big tank. It had a 4-inch sand bed. They were probably 2 millimeters, I guess, 1 to 2. It was fine.
Primeiro esse tanque dele de 2008, quando ele tinha essa montagem, durou 6 anos. Os grãos eram mais ou menos de 2, número 2, número 3, e 10 centímetros de profundidade. Já era um deep sand bed. E ele não teve nenhum hidróxido de sulfato, acho que é aquela parte preta, que é se tu mexer naquilo lá, tu mata tudo, né? Eu esqueci qual que é o termo utilizado. E ele não teve nisso, saiu porcaria suja, né? Saiu marrom, mas não teve nenhum problema quanto a isso.
So I don't vacuum it because I can't, because I always have corals all over it. And there's no room. I never have an open sand bed to clean. I like Nacerius snails, and I like conchs, and I like starfish that will go across the surface and kind of pick at it.
Ele não consegue limpar o substrato dele, porque está sempre cheio de corais, né? Ele gosta de ermitões, de lesmas, né? Snails, turbos, e ele também gosta de pepinos. Então eles estão sempre limpando o substrato para ele. And what's your opinion about bare bottom tanks? There is a trend here in Brazil.
Ugly.
Oh man, I like it.
Ugly. Oh my God, they're so ugly. Okay, so I know I had to say that. I really don't like the look, because it looks like if you go to a museum and you look at a skeleton, it's in a glass aquarium and it's air. And there's just a skeleton sitting there. And that's what a reef tank and a bare bottom tank looks like. It reminds me of a museum, where if I dive anywhere in the ocean, there's rock and sand everywhere I look. I have never found a spot that was bare bottom in the ocean.
I respectfully disagree with you, but anyway, that's a personal opinion. Ele diz que ele acha muito feio, que quando tu vai mergulhar, tu vê os corais no meio da areia, tu não vê os corais como no museu, com um vidro lá, sem nada dentro. Então, simplesmente ele não gosta. And Mark, but regarding you mentioned to me that you didn't have this nitrate, this detritus problem that some people used to have, and high flow is not such a thing for you, I believe. And so you don't have this type of problem.
I have 3 vortex blowing the water around, and my sand bed stays relatively where it belongs. I'm using a brand of sand called Tropic Eden, and it's actually called Reef Flakes, like flake food, and it's 3 millimeters, so it's a little bit bigger, but it's still not, crushed coral, and that seems to stay pretty well. Now, if I turn my pumps to 100%, yes, it's going to move stuff, but no one runs their pumps at 100% all the time. You might use it for some temporary cleaning, but for the most part, my sand bed stays pretty well where it needs to be. Oh, I forgot to mention cucumbers. I love tiger tail cucumbers.
Yeah, well, you told me 2 words. I believe that one of them was an abbreviation for cucumbers. Which was one you said to me? Snails, crabs, and
conchs, the fighting conch or the sand conch. I'll show you.
I don't know what's that. I believe it was an abbreviation for cucumbers.
Yeah, no, hang on. I will take you to this. So this is my article about cleanup crews.
Pessoal que entende de inglês, acessem o site do Marc, tá? Tem um monte de informações, um monte de artigos e toda a história dele, então é bem interessante. So the guys that have interest, please access MelevsReef.com. Over there, we found a lot of articles. There's in almost two decades of experience that Mark is written down for us. And there is a lot of history, so we can see everything over there. So yes, go there to MelevsReef.com and also subscribe to Mark's channel. It's quite interesting. And as I mentioned to him, it's ones that brought me to the hobby 7-8 years ago.
So these creatures right here are some of the, and these are the websites where you can go shop for cleanup crew. I don't sell livestock, like I said, but
those are
you've got an urchin here.
Okay.
There's a sand conch or a fighting conch.
Sand conch. I don't know how to say that.
C-O-N-C-H. Let's see. Right here. See conch?
Okay. Okay, conch. Conch, I understand. Yeah. But why you don't say snail to it?
Why don't I say what?
Why it's different than a snail?
Oh, well, it's not a snail. It might be in the same family, but it's huge. You know, all the little snails we buy to clean the tank, you know, the little hermit, like astrias and trochus. Yeah, turbos, yeah. These are just normal, and sereths. They're also a snail, but they're a weird snail. They're a totally different shape. And the conch is a beast. And
really?
They like to live in the sand, and they will bury themselves for 2 or 3 weeks. And I believe while they're in the sand, they're growing. And then when they come back out of the sand, they're bigger. And that's how they grow their shell bigger, I think.
And they are not carnivores?
No, not this one. So this is a good one to have. The sand conch is what we buy here. Sometimes they're called fighting conchs, but there's other ones like the queen conch, which is very aggressive, eats other meaty meaty animals. It'll eat snails. It'll eat anything get its little snout on.
Yes, here in Brazil we have the same ones, but we say it for conchs and snails we say just the same name.
We see this is an Asterias right here. Look how small that is. Look at the gravel size, and here's a hermit crab and a snail shell. So you got this little tiny guy, and then you got this guy that's the size of a lemon.
Oh, really? Size of a lemon?
Yeah, it's big. Really? And you can only have one of these for every 2 feet of sand.
Oh boy.
So if you have a tank that's 120 gallons, that's 6 feet by 4 feet by 2 by 2. It's 4 by 2. You can have 2 sand conchs, and that's it. Because
the hermits don't attack
otherwise
them.
It'll starve to death. It won't find enough food.
The hermits don't attack them.
Nah, they're too big. You got the hermit crab this big, and you got this big old sand. And it'll just get a ride. It'll ride the shell, and it'll crawl off onto the rockwork. But no, that's a really good one. And then the tiger tail cucumber, which wasn't even in that article, is another cleanup crew critter. They mop the sand, they eat it, and it comes out their butt clean. They are literally cleaning the sand all the time. So that's cucumbers are a huge asset.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And a próxima pergunta. Toda essa moda, né, de testes de ICP. Ele já disse que ele não faz TPA, que ele evita fazer TPA, que ele não gosta de fazer TPA, faz TPA em últimos casos, né? Mas qual é a opinião sobre os testes de ICP? As you mentioned to us that you really avoid making water changes, that's a big headache. Myself, I completely agree with you. Despite we disagreeing about bare bottom tanks, I agree with you on this one.
Yeah.
And there is now a lot of trend, as I believe that in USA, the Triton has just arrived in 2016 or 14, I'm not sure about it. And then a lot of other companies appear by, like Marine Lab, like ICP Testing, and so on. And what's your opinion about ICP testing, Mark? You believe on it? Which are the controversies that you found on it?
Okay, so I've done it a few times. And I've sent in water samples. I have like 8 different kits here to use from 6 different companies because I want to take one sample and send it to 6 companies and see what I get back. I just want to see what happens. I hope they match. But the problem is, and I'm not going to mention who it was, but I sent one to a company and it came back with a very strange number. And I said, why did you get this number? Because I knew it wasn't true. And he said, well, we use this device. And I said, I have that device. Why would I send it to you if you had the exact same tool I have? in other words, for example, let's just compare apples to apples. If you measure the
device
refractometer,
it was, Mark?
Huh?
Which device it was?
So I sent in a water sample to a company that does ICP analysis, and he told me he was using the Milwaukee refractometer, which is the green thing. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like they should have something much more higher end for what they're doing, since they're doing all the rest. And I have the Milwaukee refractometer, and that bothered me that they were using the same gizmo that I can buy and use any day of the week. I in my brain am thinking they have a super $1 million machine that's going to tell me the truth about my water, and it's 10 times, well, 100 times better than any test I could ever buy. That's what I'd like to think. But it's
a refractometer, a table refractometer from Milwaukee to show up the water salinity, right? The water density.
Right.
But why they measure that? Why it's interesting for an ACP testing to show that?
It's still good to know. It's good to know if your numbers are correct. I mean, when you send off a sample and you get numbers back, you want to know that your test kits are telling you the truth too. So you want to know your salinity, you want to know your alkaline, your calcium, magnesium, nitrate, phosphate, ammonia. You want to know everything, and plus metals. And oh, by the way, when I measured my ICP test, I was 100% sure that I was going to get slapped on the wrist for too much lanthanum in my tank, because I love phosphate RX. And it came in lower than Fiji, lower than Hawaii, lower than Indonesia. And I thought, wow, 10 years of phosphate RX and you show nothing in the water. That just was really cool to me, because I expected it's going to be really high, like aluminum is high, or lead or something.
Ele já usou várias marcas de testes de CP, né? E a ideia dele é um dia ele pegar e mandar para todo mundo e comparar os resultados. Ele mandou para uma marca, e essa marca ela mede salinidade, tá? É uma coisa que eu fiquei até surpreso, porque a Triton não mede, a Marine Lab também não mede, pelo que eu sei, tá? E na salinidade apareceu um resultado que ele achou muito diferente. E ele questionou como que poderia ter dado isso. E daí eles disseram que eles utilizam para medir um refratômetro de mesa da Milwaukee, que é o mesmo equipamento que ele tem. E ele ficou bem chateado, porque esperava que fosse algo muito mais profissional que ele não teria em casa, no caso de medir a salinidade. E outra coisa estranha foi que ele usa sais de lantânio há muito tempo para baixar o fosfato, há mais de 10 anos. E não apareceu nada de lantânio nesse teste de CP que ele fez.
Okay, so I'm not against them, and I like them, and I recommend them to people. I sell them, and I do send them in occasionally, but I don't know for a fact how much I believe them. In other words, it's a nice way to find things out. And when I went diving in Bonaire last year, I took a bottle down into the ocean with me. When I was 80 feet down, I opened the lid and I collected my water, and I brought it home in the airplane, and then I sent it off to measure to see what the water was like in ICP wise. And I took those results, and they're in my blog on the website. And nitrates were nice and low compared to my tank. But it was really kind of a cool thing to do. And I'd like to, every time I go on a dive trip, bring home a sample from another part of the world and mail it off for testing.
How you can do that in USA? Here in Brazil, we cannot go on with water bottles, animals. It's impossible. It's amazing how you could do that.
I don't know. I had a small bottle. I put it inside a bag. I put it inside my suitcase, and I came home. I mean, if they were going to confiscate it, they could have. But it's water in a bottle. I don't know why you would take that away from anyone. I didn't go through TSA with it. It was luggage.
No, it was luggage. Okay, so
yeah.
that might
But
work.
I mean, and the thing is, I forgot the kit. My preference would have been to bring the kit with me with their little tiny vial. Instead, I brought home a 20-ounce bottle because I forgot my stupid kit.
And so I had coffee or something like that.
Yeah, I would in the little vial. There'd been no question, I'm sure.
Yeah. But anyway, it's quite impressive number that it showed no regular level of night. Então, ele inclusive relatou que ele foi a Bonaire. Bonaire é um dos destinos mais fantásticos para mergulho, né? Ele foi há 8 meses atrás. Está relatado no site dele também. E ele mediu, coletou a água lá e mandou para análise. E foi um resultado incrível, muito mais baixo e muito mais preciso do que o aquário dele, né? Então, realmente, os números fazem sentido. Mas ele tem dúvidas quanto à credibilidade, porque cada empresa dá um resultado, pode dar um resultado diferente. Agora nós vamos para a última questão. Quais foram os 3 maiores erros que ele teve nessa vida inteira de aquarismo? E quais são as 3 dicas para hobbyistas intermediários e avançados? We are going now for the last question, Mark. Please share with us your top 3 biggest mistakes and your top 3 biggest top 3 advices for intermediate and advanced hobbyists.
Okay. The biggest mistake I ever made was forgetting to turn the pump back on my aquarium when I was trying to feed some corals at night. And I melted the food and I put it on top of the tank and I turned off the pump. And 10 minutes later, I forgot what I was doing. And I said, I'm tired, and I went to bed. And all the flow was off in the tank. Nothing was on. And I went to bed and woke up 7 hours later and half of my fish were dead.
O maior erro que ele já fez foi colocar uma comida congelada. Ele botou para descongelar, desligou as bombas e ele acabou se esquecendo de ligar de novo. E foi dormir. 7 horas depois, quando ele acordou, metade dos peixes tinham morrido. Okay, I believe that's the biggest one.
Yeah, it was bad. I was really upset. My avatar on Reef Central had a black line through it like they do on the badge for the police, when you lose a member, because I lost fish I'd had for many years, and I was really upset about it. And Spock, my Nassau tang, and the purple tang that I still have to this day lived through that. They survived it. But I lost all the difficult fish. Flame angel, powder blue tang.
When was it?
I think 2005.
Em 2005 isso aconteceu e ele acabou perdendo os peixes mais difíceis, né? O Flame Angel, o Pounder Blue, mas outros mais resistentes sobreviveram. Mas ele ficou muito chateado, inclusive no avatar dele no Reef Central, teve uma faixa de luto, uma faixinha preta de luto, porque ele perdeu os animais que estavam há muito tempo com ele.
So I think since some of the fish lived, it was during the end, because they were dying. And as I took these dead fish out of my aquarium, they were perfect fish, still colorful. They weren't picked at. They weren't, it's like they died a second ago. And I could actually hold them in my hand and realize how big they'd become, because you didn't know when you look at them in the aquarium.
Então ele não sabia, né, o que estava acontecendo, né, e ficou muito chateado porque os peixes acabaram morrendo. Ainda mais depois de todo esse tempo que os animais estavam lá.
So I restarted all the pumps and I held Spock in the Nassau tang in front of a pump to get flow into her gills, because her mouth was in the sand, and when I came into the room, she would swim into corals like a bulldozer, like she was blind, and she would just slam into stuff. And after 10 minutes of flow, she revived, she got better. And the other fish did too.
O naso já estava com a cabeça enterrada na areia, estava sem oxigênio, estava completamente cego, batendo os corpos, então ele segurou ela durante 10 minutos na frente da bomba para que começasse a oxigenar novamente. E ela sobreviveu. Something similar, I was traveling around for my work. I was in Indonesia for the time, and after the employees left the company, there was a power outlet, and the power only restarted when they arrived the next day. And I lost 2 fishes. I lost a yellow tongue and a flame angel that was about 2 years with me, and the others, just by pure luck, they survived. So man, that's really crappy when this happened. How old is your biggest fish now? Your oldest fish?
The Nassau tang and the purple tang, I've had both since 2004. So I've had them for 16 years. And I've got other fish that are 5-6 years old. And I've got corals that go back to 2003. So there's a lot of stuff that's still with me. So that was my absolute worst mistake, my worst accident, and it was my fault. And so I would recommend, you were saying, what are 3 things, the solutions or ideas? Automate your system to where if you turn something off, it turns itself on again automatically. So if you forget, it's going to restart. So for example, if I had done a feed, but if I back then had some magic feed button I could have used and made it stop the pumps for 30 minutes, then even if I totally forgot, 29 minutes from now, it would turn on again and it never would have happened. So that's an important one. So I do recommend automation, battery backups, but some kind of even if you have to build a device. Years ago, I actually made a device that was a little circuit board and a red button in an acrylic box I built. And I had a guy help me make it because I didn't know how to do it. And we designed it to where I could push the button and my protein skimmer would turn off for 45 minutes. And then it would turn on the skimmer automatically, because otherwise you turn off your skimmer because you're feeding and you forget to turn it on. And it's a day later or 2 days later, and you're like, oh, my skimmer is off. So I automated back then with a little DIY project.
E ele recomenda a automação para isso, para que ninguém tenha que passar por essa situação. Inclusive, ele relata que ele fez uma caixinha em acrílico com um timer por skimmer. Quando tu alimentava, tu acionava isso e depois ele acionava, voltava a ligar novamente de forma automática. Então, isso é o auxílio mais valioso. And what suggestions, which advices you give for intermediate and advanced hobbyists?
Okay, let me add one more thing, because I know money is a thing with a lot of people and making stuff isn't always affordable. There's a couple of things that you can do instead of what my little thing I built. You can get a mechanical timer with the little buttons you put in, and you can set it to come on every so often. So in other words, maybe have it turn on every 2 hours, okay? So the entire thing is set to always turn on in 2 hours because it's mechanical. So you actually turn the button to off, but in 2 hours, it's going to turn on, it's going to turn on, it's going to always want it. So no matter where the time is on the dial, it doesn't matter because it's going to restart. So a cheap mechanical timer can be used as an on switch to get your return pump back on.
And you put that on, and when you put that on, when you're going to feed, you just install it?
Yeah,
and then
you could. As long as you set it up to always turn on. Forget the off buttons. You don't want to put in switches to kill it. You would just turn the knob. I mean, this isn't a hard thing to do. You just have to do it once, and it'll make sense when you do it once. But when you first set it up, you're like, this is going to work, and then you find out it works great. So that's a nice one.
Uma boa dica que ele dá para nós é a gente pegar um timer e colocar ele na tomada e no equipamento. A hora que a gente for dar comida, a gente simplesmente baixa o tempo, inativa o timer no tempo que a gente quer, tipo 1 hora, e coloca ele dessa forma. Assim, tu vai ter certeza que tu não vai esquecer que ele vai voltar a funcionar.
Okay, and then you ask the question, what do I recommend to people? I tell everyone every single week to test your water. I think that people don't test enough. They have every excuse why they don't. And I feel like you need to test to know what your tank is. And just to look at it and say everything's fine is a terrible method. So I definitely recommend test and use the kit before it expires and find out your numbers and adjust whatever needs to be adjusted to make sure the numbers are where they belong.
Principal dica que ele dá para aquaristas de nível intermediário e avançado. Essa resposta eu dedico ao meu amigo Gabriel, meu amigo Bié, e a resposta é o seguinte: teste a sua água. Eu acredito que as pessoas não testam a sua água de forma significativa e só vem com aquela historinha de olhar e olhar saber que está tudo bem. Não é assim que funciona de acordo com o Marc. Tu tens que testar com frequência e não deixar os teus testes ficarem velhos. Tu tem que usar antes deles expirarem.
And then the last thing I'd recommend to anyone in the hobby, no matter how new or old they are, automate your top off. So get some kind of a gizmo that will add the water as it evaporates so your salinity never changes and your tank doesn't end up burning up a pump, burning up the heaters. You know, nothing fails because there's always enough water in the sump. It makes your life so much easier to have an automated top off.
E a última dica seria utilizar uma reposição automática de água doce. Essa água doce tem que ser colocada, então isso vai evitar problemas, né? Então, faça isso através de uma eclusa, através de uma bomba. We have one question from the audience that I would like to ask you as well. Well, the first thing, Mark, as you know, I have contacted you last year when we were supposed to have a physical meeting. We do have this physical annual meeting. This year, regarding COVID, we still not sure about it. But I would like to make a firm statement inviting you to take part on it anyway it is. So we Brazilians really would like to have you taking part on it if it's possible.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Então, Mark, nós íamos ter a conferência anual ano passado, foi assim que eu contatei ele ano passado. E esse ano a gente não sabe o que vai acontecer. Se vai ser física ou se vai ser virtual ou como nós vamos fazer isso. Mas o convite está em meu nome e em nome de todos os aquaristas brasileiros aí para vir participar conosco. E a resposta dele é sim, vamos ver o que vai acontecer aí. A última pergunta, a pergunta do Ledo, foi: o Mark trabalha bastante com acrílico. Notamos que por vezes o acrílico empena com a umidade, como por exemplo nas tampas de SAMP. Isso acontece com qualquer tipo de acrílico ou apenas os de má qualidade? A technical question regarding your acrylic works. Acrylic is well known when there is a lot of humidity that it starts to bend in itself. Does it happen with your projects when you use it, for example, in light sets that you use it, or it's only regarding the quality of the acrylic?
Didn't quite understand the last part.
It happens, this bend happens because of the quality of the acrylic, or it does not happen at all, because when you use it in light stands like you do, you have humidity and you have also strong heat from the lamps.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. So a light stand, that's what I didn't quite understand. Okay,
light stand, let me share you with the photos.
Okay.
If you... Do you see it over there?
Give me a second here. How do I open
light fixture? Light fixture, it will be the right word.
Yeah, I don't know how to open that file. It just says blub. Doesn't do anything.
Okay.
Okay, so there's acrylic and there's polycarbonate. Totally different things that look exactly the same. And acrylic, like your person said, can warp as it gets humid. Like if it's sitting on top of the tank, here's all the water, here's all the air, and the acrylic curls. And then if you flip the acrylic over, it'll be flat for a little while and then it'll curl again because it's wet down here and it's dry on top. So to avoid that, you stop using acrylic entirely and you use polycarbonate, because polycarbonate doesn't absorb moisture and it doesn't curl. It stays flat forever. So it's a really nice choice. In a light fixture, hopefully they would use polycarbonate as a plastic splash guard. But the other choice would be, you know, like with metal halides, we use tempered glass. And the glass was nice, it had good clarity and it could handle the heat so it wouldn't crack or break. It was a safer glass. But polycarbonate is what I use for all the lids that I make for on top of overflow boxes. It could be used, and the lids for my top-off containers, you know, the lid you take off to refill the water, those are polycarbonate. And it's what I've been using now for the last few years. It's fantastic stuff because it lasts forever. It's very hard to cut. It's so dangerous to cut. It's ridiculous. If you try and push it through a table saw, it literally jumps up and down on the table and it wants to come back at you. And I use a CNC machine to cut out my pieces. And even then I have to be very cautious how it cuts. You know, it's not like acrylic cuts like butter. So much easier.
I have saw a video that they are using a table saw, but they use two really thin wood sheets. So this wouldn't be happening. This works or not?
That would be a good idea. Yeah, somewhere to sandwich it. Yeah. Sounds like more work, but yeah, I can see that working. Yeah, no, I did everything off a table saw for a decade. And I had to be very careful, and I have all my fingers. I got lucky.
That's
But
nice.
you know, I've been using the CNC now for just over 3 years, and I can design whatever I want to cut out, and then I cut it, and then I prep the edges and I glue it. And like everything I make is made of acrylic. So like a bracket to hang your Vortec driver on, a thing to feed your tank, those are all made of acrylic. The sumps are acrylic, the top off container is acrylic. But if there's a spot where it's going to be in the air, then I use polycarbonate because I don't want it to warp.
Então, existem dois materiais que são muito parecidos, mas são completamente diferentes: o policarbonato e o acrílico. O acrílico, ele entorta com calor. Ele entorta com calor de um lado. Se tu virar, ele vai ficar reto um tempo, ele vai entortar novamente. Então, para essas áreas onde tem grande umidade com calor, ele usa o policarbonato. O policarbonato não sofre nenhum tipo de flambagem. Então, ele é o mais indicado para esses casos. Todos os demais ele usa acrílico, seja para prender alguma coisa no aquário, fazer uma tampa em que não vai ter calor, ele usa o acrílico, porque o policarbonato é muito mais duro de trabalhar e perigoso. E também tem alternativa como, por exemplo, para a utilização de lâmpadas HQI, é feito de vidro temperado. A tampa, assim consegue proteger ela dos respingos.
So in this picture, you can see the polycarbonate lid in my hand is a little bit different color than the rest of the box. But other than that, it won't warp or twist, and you can just remove it to refill the container or to clean the container out. And it fits nice and smoothly in the box itself.
A tampa que ele está segurando na mão é de policarbonato e o resto da caixa é em acrílico, então ela não vai entortar, não vai dobrar e acaba dando um bom acabamento.
But like, for example, this top-off container just had a regular acrylic lid with hinges, and over time this lid would bend. It would look like it was smiling.
Mas já essa outra caixa que aparece aí para nós, ela é de acrílico, então com o tempo ela vai acabar dobrando e entortando para dentro.
So I've gotten away from the hinges entirely. I'd much prefer to just do what I show here. Number one, you can remove the lid entirely. It won't accidentally come down while you're pouring water in, and you could clean the container and just put it right back in place. It's easy, and this is a stronger box because all 6 sides are glued together into a cube.
E esse daí é o modelo atual dele, porque tu consegue remover a tampa, ele não usa mais com dobradiças, como aquela foto anterior, e tu consegue limpar, e ele é muito mais duro, porque todos os 6 lados estão colados. They are quite nice. They are quite nice.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that I'm able to make that type of product, and it was because of the machine that I bought. So that, I buy acrylic that's 4 feet by 8 feet. And I buy 8, 10, 12 sheets at a time. And I am building things. I mean, right now on the table, I've got 3 things gluing for customers that are impatiently waiting. Because I need to get it done.
A hobbyist is not patient. I cannot believe that.
I know, right? Crazy.
Okay, Mark, those were, first of all, once again, mais uma vez eu quero agradecer ao Mark por todo o tempo que ele tomou. Nós nos estendemos por demais, quase o dobro do tempo programado. Foi uma conversa muito agradável. Quero dizer para vocês se inscreverem no canal, aqueles que não são inscritos no meu canal, no superreef, e no canal do Mark, que é o MelevsReef. O link está aqui embaixo na descrição. E, por favor, deixem aquele joinha se vocês gostaram aí das conversas, tá? Isso é muito importante aí para o crescimento do nosso canal. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's a good one, Mark. Então, pessoal, não esqueçam de joinha, tá? You just show us again that, because I believe that it's not showed because it was my time.
It's doing the green screen thing. I have to put it near me so it shows up.
Pessoal, vamos se inscrever, tá?
Or they can do this.
Yes, when you said that about the bare bottom tanks being ugly, I would say that.
Bare bottom, ew.
Mark, once again, I want to say thank you, because we have been almost the double the time. Man, you're a really nice guy to chat with. I hope that next time, even when we're not online, we can chat. And it's amazing how myself is 35 years old and I have so plenty of white hair, and your son is 32 years old and you still don't have gray hair.
Some people get gray hair too early.
Yeah. And it was quite nice. Thank you very much for taking time to be with us.
Yeah.
And it was great, man.
Thanks for the invitation, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Muito obrigado pelo convite. Eu espero nos encontrarmos pessoalmente. Any message for the Brazilian audience, for your Brazilian audience?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Take care of your tanks. Keep them clean, keep them pretty. Try not to be frustrated. Try to find what's going good in your tank, so you're not, because that's the thing. We focus on what's wrong and we don't enjoy it. And there's probably a whole bunch of good happening in the tank that we overlook. So quit worrying about the bad things that are bugging you and look at all the good stuff and enjoy your pets.
Foquem nas coisas que são positivas, que dão certo nos seus tanques. Continuem fazendo a manutenção e não relaxem. E muitas vezes nós ficamos frustrados. Tentem não ficar frustrados e aproveitem, tirem gosto pelo seu tanque. Pessoal, até a próxima. Semana que vem, sábado, nós vamos ter entrevistas com o Marco Martins, que, na minha opinião, é o melhor aquarista que eu já conheci. Não se esqueçam de acompanhar o canal. E até a próxima. Mark, thank you very much and see you next time.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm free. That was fun.
Thank you, Mark. It was really nice. I'm just trying to close it up. I'm just waiting for the...
Yeah, your video went away. Now it's a picture of you and a woman.
Okay, stop it over now on YouTube.